Hello, this clip is from the most recent episode of The Nick Symmonds Show. If you want to see the entire show, I'll link it in the description below. But today, we're talking with Niraj. Niraj is injured, and he wants to know, how do you come back from an injury? I ran competitively for 20 years. I was injured many, many times. There is a right and a wrong way to come back from injury, and today we're going to talk about that. Roll that clip.
What was the best way to come back from an injury?
That is a good question. And this is one that I have a lot of experience in because, as a competitive runner, you're going to get injured a lot. It comes with the territory. And coming back from an injury, there's a lot of do's and don'ts, okay? Take care of your body. While you're injured, you've got to be cross-training. I know it sucks, like aqua jogging, swimming laps, biking. It's horribly boring, especially if you're a runner and you love to run. But you really shave the amount of time that it's going to take to come back once you can start running again. It's going to shave that time if you actually stay in some kind of shape. My preferred method of cross-training was always swimming. I think it's a great full-body workout, and I also added lifting on top of that when I could if I wasn't going to further injure myself. Once you are healthy, then you've got to listen to your coach, and you've got to come back extremely slowly. Everybody wants to jump back in full force, go right back to the mileage they were at before they got injured. And that is a perfect way to re-injure yourself, either to aggravate the injury that had you out in the first place or to cause a completely new injury. So many times I see people take time off and they jump back in, full force, and they pull a muscle or they get a stress fracture or, shin splints or something. You have to start back, depending on how long you took off. If you only took a couple days off to injury, you can kind of jump back in pretty quick. But, if you're taking a month, 2 months, I once had a 6 months injury. I came back from that 6 month injury and I started from absolute scratch, running just, not even a mile at a time, just jogging a minute, walk a minute, jog a minute, walk a minute, jog a minute. And you really have to slowly and steadily start building up. So, when coming back from injury, the number one mindset I think you need to have is slow and steady to get back into fitness. And sorry, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, I feel like whenever over summer I hurt my knee pretty badly. Like back in 6th grade, I broke it and I hurt it again. Now in 9th grade, so I just felt like I tried to rush my recovery too quickly, and I went straight into cross country with no training.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should have, taken more time, done more cross training.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I know athletes that were a little bit injury prone that got really good, like world class good, but they couldn't run very many miles. They just supplemented their training like crazy with cross training. One thing that jumped to mind when you said, that you'd been re-injured, I had a bit of an issue when I was younger of the kind of this recurring injury with my knees, where I'd be running along just fine and I'd step off the curb wrong or step off a rock wrong, and all of a sudden my knee wouldn't bend, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but it would happen, every season or every other season, and would cost me a month of rehab and downtime, and it just didn't make sense. And I saw many specialists, but I finally found this doctor that diagnosed that I had plica underneath my kneecap. Plica is basically like a congenital piece of tissue that holds the kneecap in place when you're in utero. And in 9 out of 10 people, it just disappears. But in that 10%, there's about 10% of those 10%, that most of them are runners, that end up having issues with it. And you actually have to go in and cut that piece of tissue out. So I had what are called plicectomy, removing the plica from underneath my kneecap. Double plicectomy when I was 19 years old. And the purpose of this story is to say you need to consult experts. Like, I know we all just want to kind of, swim and take a couple weeks off and hope everything gets back to normal. Sometimes that's not possible. And sometimes we actually have underlying chronic issues that need to be addressed, and medical experts can help us with that. If I hadn't had my plicectomies at the age of 19, I probably never would have gone on to make an Olympic team because I wouldn't have been able to log the consistent training that I needed to. So the last thing I would say about, coming back from injury is, especially if it's a recurring injury, you have to trust the medical experts and diagnose the underlying problem rather than just treat the symptoms. Hey, I really want to thank all of you for watching these clips. And I really want to thank those of you who join me in my weekly Zoom meetings to ask me these questions. If you want to join, just text me at the number below here. I send out a text blast before every single recording. You could join me on the Nick Symmonds Show and ask me anything. This week, we talked a lot about running. If you guys want to check out my books, I do have 2 books available that can make you a better runner. One, aptly titled How to Be a Better Runner, available at nicksymmonds.com, hand autographed if you act now. And then also my 2012 Olympic training log, every single workout I did to prepare for the Olympic Games. That's also available at nicksymmonds.com. They are available as digital downloads anywhere in the world or as autographed copies, shipping free in the United States. Check that out at nicksymmonds.com. Thanks, guys.